Hey there, fellow wanderers. Tonight, we step into the worn boots of a medieval messenger, setting off on a journey fraught with danger and doubt. The path is narrow and slick with mud, winding through a forest that seems to breathe. Gnarled branches twist into ominous shapes above as dusk devours the light. You clutch a secret message beneath your tattered cloak. Wolves howl in the distance. The cold presses in. In a world without safety or mercy, every step risks death for the sake of a few fragile words. This isn't fantasy. This is history. And no, you probably won't make it to your destination. But your story? It starts now. If that excites you, like this video, subscribe and share your location and time in the comments. Dim the lights. Let the fan hum like the wind between the trees. Let's begin. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your journey as a medieval messenger starts early in the morning, the dew still kissing the ground as you gather your belongings. There's no leisurely breakfast. You grab a hard piece of bread and cheese from last night, a typical meal that barely sustains as the miles unfold before you. Historians still argue whether medieval diet truly sustained such grueling tasks, but they all agree on one thing: food wasn't gourmet. Setting off, the village fades into the distance, reduced to memories of crackling fires and drunken storytellers. Soon, the world narrows down to just you and the path ahead. The scenery unfurls like an endless tapestry, painted with the dull hues of trudging peasants and weather-beaten travellers who greet you with suspicious looks. After all, a stranger carrying unknown missives is viewed with caution or outright mistrust in these times. The atmosphere is marred by an unnerving stillness, broken only by the crunch of gravel underfoot. You start to wonder if your message, this rolled-up testament sealed with wax, holds enough gravity to justify your toil. Perhaps it's merely a mundane decree, a tax increase, or a notice of a scheduled feast. But the looming spectre of more sinister contents cannot be dismissed. Imagine the worst of modern spam email, only here, a misplaced word could ignite feuds rather than just clutter inboxes. No delete button here. Just the ominous weight of responsibility pressing down on your shoulders. Who knows? The fate of realms might be sealed by your dampened hands. As you press on, the path grows increasingly undisciplined, sprouting more rocks than the soles of your shoes care to tolerate. If luck's laughing at you, and it usually is, you might even lose a shoe to a particularly deep puddle. Nothing like a squelchy boot to cheer up a gloomy dispatch. This is where you glimpse the occasional stirring in the dense foliage. Brief yet sharp. A quickening heart follows the whisper of unseen eyes watching from the verge of the forest. Bandits, perhaps, finding endurance in your discomfort. Yet you hold your pace steady, reminding yourself of the hefty knighthood on which your life precariously hinges. Maybe a glimmer of that medieval chivalry would come in handy, if only it weren't so selective in relevance to written edicts. Every so often, a milestone passes you by with a vague marking, pointing ambiguously to towns that may or may not exist beyond the horizon. You can't always trust the signage, much like those social media maps that gleefully reroute you into circles. Here, at least, the guesses have some charm. In quieter, reflective moments, your thoughts drift towards the ideal of peace. This tranquil dream of lands devoid of power struggles and chalked lines. Such serenity, though, comes sparsely, clipped short by the howl of distant beasts. Was it just the wind? Or perhaps a reminder that nature here claims superiority over slow land beasts like yourself? Before midday, you're already famished, a gnawing hunger that grows tedious over time. You reach into your pack for an apple, bruised but filled with a fleeting sweetness, a brief distraction from what's ahead. My friend, this is no leisurely hike with picturesque picnic opportunities. It's a test of both resolve and irony. Somewhere in this struggle, you muse over philosophical treatises, whether man is indeed a creature of habit, of survival, or sheer stubborn will. Your indirect route continues to weave across an unfair terrain, presenting more than physical challenges. The taxing rhythm plays tricks on your mind, the drudgery of calculation leaving you caught in an internal monologue, debates with yourself about duty, destiny, and indeed detours. Remember, you're not just wandering. You're a cog in history's unpredictable mechanism, an influencer of great games with stakes so high that even your role teeters constantly on the edge of irrelevance and importance. So, maintain that steady march, place one foot after the other, mindful of fateful stumbles that history might judge, even as it debates your credibility. And so with each step you carry forward not just messages, but the weight of territories, swaying between peace and turmoil, all stuffed into the leather pouch slung across your weary shoulder. There is no grand reward at the end of this journey, just the satisfaction of completion and survival's fleeting glory. Okay, maybe a few coins and a fresh piece of bread if the Lord is feeling generous. The miles remain indifferent to your pained limbs in the shadows of encroaching dusk. As your first day begins to wane, the raw edges of the path linger at your side, whispering tales of those who once crossed these lands. Unseen hands sketch your silhouette into the mist of fading daylight, etching the immensity of your simple undertaking deep into the fabric of time. As the sun dips lower, casting long shadows across the land, the realities of the road become ever more apparent. The path ahead is unpredictable and full of treacherous surprises, each step you take reminiscent of a gamble. Those medieval roads are less well-engineered thoroughfares, and more akin to chaotic ribbons of dirt, often waterlogged with rain or treacherously dusty under the heat of the midday sun. Imagine yourself navigating a twisting trail where every rise and fall in the road can hide potential threats. One wrong step and you could find yourself ankle-deep in a slick, unstoppable mire. Bandits, however, are the true menace lurking just around the bend. Bandits whose livings are made by relieving travellers like you of their burdens. They watch the road with keen eyes from the cover of the trees, looking for the naive and the unguarded. You wonder if the mere parchment you carry is tempting enough to attract their notice. Now, let's ponder the historical tidbits of these routes. These were no Roman roads. Unlike those ancient marvels of straight lines and stone pavements, medieval roads were sometimes no more than tracks left by previous wanderers. The historians' debate is whether any standardized effort was initially put into these pathways, or if they were left to evolve organically, shaped by the passage of countless feet and hooves. As you shuffle along, the sensation of past echoes, stolen footsteps from those who came before, gives you brief company. It's as if each rise and fall under your boots contains a story, a whisper of previous travellers whose tales might never be told. You imagine their destinations, their urgent deliveries, and the fears they too must have faced. Lighting is another hardship you must endure. The absence of modern streetlights or even well-marked pathways makes wayfaring come alive with enigmatic wonder. If you set out before dawn or attempt to make headway against sunset's retreat, your world becomes a monochromatic puzzle, possibly illuminated only by the pale glow of a handheld lantern, its flicker casting eerie shadows on the surrounding foliage. Imagine the whispers of the trees playing tricks on your mind, or worse, announcing unwanted company as daylight slips and dark forms encroach upon you. The jokes that fellow travellers share about audacious adventurers with their paper lanterns, a futile bid against the night, remind you of these small comfort zones that light offers. Yet progressively it dawns on you, to thrive and survive on these roads, flexibility is paramount, just like a savvy commuter thrives on reading city traffic rather than lamenting it. Encountering crossroads presents itself as another layer in your mental framework, surpassing mere physical hurdles. Where to go next? Without the luxury of signposts that make sense, you're guided by intuition, or perhaps the hurriedly remembered scribble of landmarks shared by those who know these trails better than cartographers. How you itch for modern GPS in this moment spare you from the wishful guessing and detours that may very well transform a day of travel into a nightmarish cycle of retracing your steps. Road maintenance? That's an alien concept here. Repair efforts are sporadic at best. Any tale of fixing a road is often steeped more in legend than fact, where the steward or lord might dispatch a handful of souls to patch what urgently needs it, unless they found themselves too preoccupied with higher callings of warfare or feasting. Interruptions come in the form of creeks that sprawl unexpectedly across roads, indifferent to man-made paths. Wooden planks at river crossings are notorious for missing boards, where each one promises to send you, your message, and perhaps your sanity, tumbling into icy current. Historians often debate the effectiveness of the rudimentary methods of bridge work utilized, leading to lively arguments over structure versus function, while field crafters and engineers smile knowingly. cherishing their pragmatic victory over theoretical rambling. Yet there hides a comforting thought nestled in the wicked tangents of this journey. Fellow travellers. Pilgrims seek distant shrines, merchants transport goods, or even messengers alike, each tethered to a mission that binds humanity into a coherent, moving tapestry. Conversations pedestrian in essence, yet rich in shared experience. Bridge the gap between lands widely unknown and intimately treaded. Did you know that paths, serving as conduits for trade, likewise cast their enduring charm over linguistics as well? Here, new words meander into everyday speech, plus dialects swirl in this cauldron of cultures. A linguistic exchange that at times finds you bewilderingly challenged, yet curiously enriched. These roads no longer confine you, they stretch before you, the arteries of medieval life, reminding you that the world stretches wide past the horizon. As golden slants of evening sun burn the sky, setting touchstones for your progress, the simple beauty of your current plight turns inward, compelling you to move forward. With dusk growing near, you find solace in an innkeeper's light-hearted pledge of hospitality. A joke about misfortunes shared, a promise of rest within secure walls, or as secure as they can be. The whispers of trepidation become a lullaby when the roof above shields you, if only for a night, from the unwelcome chaos of the roads outside. As you ponder the trials of this day, turning them over like stones passed through weary hands, sleep begins to claim you. If the roads teach anything, it is resilience, and this night's respite is a well-earned little victory on your relentless march toward destiny's calling. The next morning presents a fresh set of challenges, as you rise before dawn's first light, the promise of another arduous day looming. As a medieval messenger, you are at the mercy of the capricious weather, a truth made evident as the clouds roll in overhead, painting the sky in ominous shades of grey. The rain starts as a gentle patter, quickly escalating into a relentless downpour, turning the earthen paths into a slippery obstacle course. You trudge forward, your cloak offering little protection as water seeps through the fabric, chilling you to the bone. The medieval period knew no reliable forecasts, no weather apps to provide warning of impending tempests or blistering heat. This unpredictability transforms each journey into a game of chance, where luck and timing govern your fate. You find yourself musing, perhaps with a hint of envy, on how modern travellers complain about a drizzle while armed with umbrellas and waterproof gear. Here and now, the elements reign supreme, dictating the rhythm of your steps and the urgency of your mission. Travelling in fair weather isn't without its quirks either. Days of unrelenting sun bake the earth, turning pathways into dusty trails that claw at your throat with each breath. There is a beauty, though, in the sun-drenched fields, a whisper of warmth that dances across your skin like an old, forgotten lover. However, under this blazing sun, you must be wary of heatstroke, a danger as potent as any blade. You pause, heeding your body's signals, seeking shade under the broad branches of an ancient tree where you sip sparingly from your drinking horn. It's a simple reminder that honour and duty are only as strong as the messenger's stamina. The historians still debate the influence of climate and weather patterns on medieval life. Did climatic shifts significantly alter social landscapes or determine the successes and failures of political expansions? The arguments are faceted, like the glistening raindrops. For you, each day carries the empirical evidence of nature's power, etching respect along with every drenched or dust-ridden path. In regions prone to snowfall, another layer of hardship unfurls. In winter, you fight against freezing winds, blizzards that obscure the path and muffle sound, making you feel as though you're traversing a void. The snowflakes assault your vision, and your gloved hands are numbed as they clutch the reins of your steed, if fortune allows you one. It's clear why so few messages travel in winter, when even the chill can seep into one's resolve. Despite these trials, there is a rugged beauty in these landscapes that occasionally pierces the monotony. The tempest, though fiercely adversarial, is a force that carves rivers and smooths stones. The sun, while tyrannical, breathes life into fields and forests, birthing the very cycles necessary for survival. It isn't just a challenge, it's an orchestra where chaos can fall into harmony, an experience unique to those who wander by necessity rather than choice. At night, when storms thunder across the sky or stars shimmer like celestial punctuation marks in the wake of a clear day, you quietly appreciate the world beyond human artifice. Yet, you also long for those fleeting moments of respite from the relentless weather. drawn to the flicker of a warm hearth through the cracks of a shuttered window as the glow adumbrates a distant promise of shelter. In the midst of your journey, the prospect of such simple pleasure takes on the weight of a treasured reward, akin to the first sip of water after a long drought. The medieval mind often turned to faith during such challenging times, attributing the whims of weather to divine will or devout saints. The presumption rested that rituals, prayers, or offerings might sway favour from the heavens. A comical thought crosses your mind that the modern reaction to a downpour often calls for an umbrella rather than divine intervention. Still, as you squelch through yet another muddy mile, the thought that someone, somewhere, might entreat a patron saint for your smooth passage isn't unwelcome. A small, silent wish from a steadfast guardian, every raindrop, every gust of wind and shaft of sunlight speaks to a world in which you are merely a part, reminding you that, in the grand scheme of nature, your journey strikes a delicate balance between humanity's relentless pursuit forward and this world's ancient temperament. In navigating this treacherous interplay of weather and terrain, resilience becomes your trusty companion. Each day's conclusion invites reflection under whatever shelter you find, where the raging storms and merciful sun merely become characters in your persistent quest. With sodden boots lined up to dry by the fire, you allow the night's stillness to refuel your spirit, as the winds outside artistically play with thoughts of home and hearth. Footnote. Thus, as dawn once again glows on the horizon, you prepare to embrace the elements anew. Fortified by the knowledge that whatever nature puts forth rain, shine or snow, you persist. An indomitable spirit charged with carrying the whispers of history across an unpredictable world. The road calls once more as you reluctantly slip out of the meagre comforts of the inn and prepare for another day of relentless travel. The thought of endless walking lies heavy on your limbs, a weight you must bear in pursuit of your duty. With each step, your body becomes an instrument finely tuned to the rhythm of travel, yet sensitively aware of the aching protest in your muscles. Walking great distances is part and parcel of a medieval messenger's life. In a time where transportation options were limited, foot travel remained the most reliable, if not the only choice. Horses, while useful, were reserved for those who could afford such luxury, and even then, care and feeding of them could prove cumbersome and costly. The truth is, most messengers took to the roads with nothing more than sturdy boots and a determination that rivaled the miles they faced. But this continuous march lends the journey a metronomic quality. The constant beat of your feet aligns with the thudding in your chest, creating a symphony of endurance that accompanies you. You become acutely aware of how far humanity has advanced, where the notion of an endless walk is a rarity reserved for recreational pursuits. Of course, the distance doesn't come without a cost. The early stages of soreness give way to a deep-seated ache, the kind that seeps into your bones as night falls. Calloused feet throb with the measure of each day's progress, a visceral reminder of the tasks undertaken and trials endured. You chuckle at the thought of how modern conveniences like car rides and train tickets remove such visceral engagements with travel. Occasionally, you encounter other travellers along these winding paths, pilgrims, traders, and perhaps even fellow messengers, and a sense of camaraderie forms. These brief interactions offer comfort, knowing that though each journey is personal, the road binds you all in common purpose. Sometimes, tall tales are exchanged, accompanied by the quaffing of ale or the sharing of dried rations. The stories range from grand epics to local gossip, weaving a tapestry of experiences that intertwines with your own. Among these shared tales is a curious note. Medieval folk firmly believed that walking barefoot significantly connected them to the earth, harnessing its natural energy to bolster their endurance. A quirky notion that, while not scientifically supported, lingers in the air as you witness certain travellers padding along without footwear, earnest in their belief. Walking such distances brings with it a unique mindset, where time and space stretch and compress in peculiar ways, and your thoughts, usually fragmented and dissonant, gradually meld into a singular stream, a meditation on movement. For instance, mundane distractions like a bird flitting past or the scent of wildflowers become significant. These sensory details punctuate the unblinking monotony, akin to bookmarks in an otherwise uninterrupted tome. As you continue, your body and mind adapt, finding efficiency in movement, discovering the precise shift of weight and balance that minimizes strain. The human form, resilient and tenacious, transforms this grueling task into something bordering on art. you can't help but marvel at your feet, which have become reliable companions and formidable tools, navigating rocky terrain and marshy swamplands with practiced ease. Yet it's in this unbroken march that doubts and musings often find you, a gentle, persistent introspection that poses questions about purpose, ambition, and the worth of carrying inked words across treacherous mileage. The medieval role of the messenger, often painted as a noble endeavour, harbours a more personal reflection that evades the romanticised image of knightly quests. Historians still argue whether the tireless tramping allowed messengers time to contemplate the political context of their charges, or whether survival instincts dulled such musings. Were they mere conduits, or did they too grasp the weight of secrets bound tightly within sealed documents? It's during these walks that self-awareness blossoms, a momentary stepping outside oneself, recognizing the endless loop of duties carried on shoulders regardless of landscape or era. You ponder if future generations will envy this element of engagement, though perhaps blissfully ignorant of the physical strain encapsulated within the romantic notion of a great walk. Occasionally, you're afforded a brief reprieve when a wagon creaks along, offering you the chance to hitch a ride if the driver's generosity aligns with your need. These moments of rest are sparingly gifted and gratefully seized. From this elevated view, the road speeds by in a blur, yet your weary legs appreciate the chance to dangle freely for a while. Finally, as dusk folds its gentle embrace around you, your feet find purchase in the soft earth of a clearing, a merciful place to halt and contemplate the day behind and the miles yet awaiting. The weariness settles with a strange contentment, a testament to human tenacity, carved along scenic paths of yore. Rumour has it, these boots were made for more than walking. They carry histories untold, stories just waiting to imprint another step. As stars emerge, peppering the twilight canvas with dreams and stardust, you curl into your cloak for the cherished respite that this night promises, knowing that tomorrow, like the many paths before it, will demand steps anew. As the first light of morning peeks over the horizon, you're greeted once again by the demands of the day, your stomach grumbling a reminder of the fuel needed for the journey ahead. The landscape around you remains an unyielding testament to the challenges faced by medieval messengers. Nutrition is a constant concern, and sustenance is seldom guaranteed. In an era where convenience foods and supermarkets are as fantastical as dragons, every morsel of food is earned. Your provisions consist of whatever you can carry: hard bread, aged cheese, perhaps a strip of dried meat if you're particularly lucky. These are not meals designed for your palate's pleasure, but for utility, providing the energy needed to press onward, albeit grudgingly. The scarcity and quality of food often transforms your meal into a grim test of endurance. Bread in this time is no fluffy bun. It's hard as stone and could probably double as a makeshift weapon in a pinch. You'll find yourself soaking it in water or ale to soften it enough for consumption. A chewy chew, perhaps, but one that sustains your form across miles of rugged trail. On occasion, you augment these meagre rations with foraged bounty when the land is kind. The countryside offers wild herbs, nuts or berries, small treasures that pepper the experience with fleeting moments of gratitude and relief. You learn quickly which plants promise sustenance and which conceal deceptive allure. A quirky insight into this world reveals that foraging holds a thread of superstition. Medieval beliefs often endowed plants with peculiar properties. Some were thought to ward off evil, while others reputedly induced visions. As you forage, you tread carefully, mindful of both natural hazards and the occasional tale of hallucinations spurred by ill-judged consumption. Perhaps there's some humour to be had in mistaking hallucination for reality, when both often intertwine on these lengthy journeys. Water, crucial for survival, demands equal vigilance. Streams and rivers offer respite, yet the risk of unseen contamination looms large. You learn quickly that not all water is safe, a reality far removed from the filtered tap or bottled options we take for granted today. Your flask is your lifeline, the painstaking task of finding sources uncontaminated by upstream activity, critical to maintaining your health. When the road mercifully leads you to a village or inn, nutrition takes on another form. The menu? Simple gruel or pottage, a blend of grains cooked slowly, resembling what we might consider a rustic, no-frills porridge. It warms the belly, staves off hunger, reminding you once again that sustenance outweighs culinary artistry. Historians delight in exploring medieval dietary habits, still arguing whether the lack of variety shaped the energies and behaviors of the time. The options may have been constrained, but the creativity with which these ingredients were prepared is its own testament to human ingenuity in the face of limitation. There exists a dynamic social aspect to food as well. Eating, whenever possible, occurs communally, an invitation to gather, share tales and exchange news. It reinforces bonds across the traveller's spectrum, a reminder that you're part of a larger network of purposeful lives. Meals provide a patch of normality within the nomadic existence, offering structure and unity as much as calories. Sometimes the grandeur of fare elevates unexpectedly in the household of a benevolent patron. When fortune smiles and wealth adorns the table, the vibrant flavours of spices emerge, a luxury often reserved for the affluent. It's an occasion to savour, capturing the allure of far-off wonders that these spices represent. Maybe indulge in a jest about possessing a pinch of saffron worth its weight in gold, and how your taste buds temporarily indulge in royal fantasies. As dusk quietly approaches, you collect your thoughts around a campfire or hearth. An opportunity to savour the humble yet treasured comforts one might overlook today. The gratitude for a full belly, despite its rudimentary fare, envelops you like cherished warmth. As mundanity reasserts with every meal, it reminds you of the remarkable and enduring spirit resonating through those breadcrumb trails of history. While modern palates venture far and wide amid culinary exploration, yours finds solace in simplicity, a return to basics that reminds one of life's elemental truths. In dreams, you imagine feasts upon gilded tables, of abundance rivaling biblical spectacle, though always returning to the waking reality, knowing that what truly sustained you as a messenger wasn't just the food, but the dogged determination within. As you lay down your weary head, you accept today's frugality with grace, hopeful for what the morrow brings. Perhaps with less hunger and more memorable moments to fill the gaps along the way. It's a dance of sustenance that carries the silent ode of nurture, surviving the harshest conditions with conviction and resilience stitched into every crumb. As the days blend into weeks, you find yourself fully immersed in the ebb and flow of a messenger's journey. Each night, as the glow of twilight succumbs to a sky strewn with stars, a new challenge awaits, finding a place to rest your travel-weary bones. The medieval world doesn't offer much respite in terms of luxury or comfort, especially when your course leads you to the dismal dwellings known as inns. Upon approaching an inn, you first encounter the telltale signs of life: smoke lofting lazily from the chimney, the low murmur of voices from within, punctuated by the occasional laugh or shout. The promise of shelter and warmth pulls you forward, yet, as you step inside, reality takes a sharp turn from hopeful expectation to begrudging acceptance. Inns of this era are a far cry from modern hotels. Absent is the sterile comfort of uniform decor and room service. Instead, you're met with an aroma that can only be described as a blend of wood smoke, sweat, and whatever the kitchen stew of the day might be, and it likely contains unidentifiable chunks of something vaguely edible. Monastic in spirit but not in hygiene, the medieval inn serves its own version of hospitality, and comfort becomes a relative term. The common room bustles with life. Locals and travellers alike huddle around long wooden tables, their conversations a roaring amalgam of dialects and stories. The innkeeper, a jolly figure with a penchant for providing tales alongside ale, gestures you toward what's available. A bench next to a hearth, or, perhaps if you're fortunate, a shared room upstairs with straw-filled mattresses as you make your way up a narrow staircase, each step creaking. Reminiscent of a haunted recount, you remind yourself that solitude is not always an option. Sharing space with strangers is part of the unspoken code. It sounds like the setup for a sitcom, but the bedbugs and dubious odours provide an unwelcome reality check. The rooms are dimly lit with flickering candlelight casting ghostly shadows that do little to hide the rough wooden walls and thin blankets. Privacy is an afterthought here. Mere curtains divide the communal quarters, offering scarcely more than the illusion of seclusion. Historians find themselves drawn into lively debates over the conditions and roles of these medieval inns. Were they centres of social interaction, hubs of rural economy, or simply way stations resigned to their rudimentary decencies? Regardless of such academic musings, your reality is one of enduring what the inn offers without losing heart. At times, the unpredictable charm of shared spaces does emerge. The person snoring beside you might turn out to be a travelling minstrel with tales sung from distant lands. Or perhaps a merchant willing to barter stories for tangible goods, offering snippets of exotic locales to colour your otherwise muted backdrop. These chance meetings create patches of camaraderie that warm even the dankest of accommodations. Maintaining cleanliness is an ongoing struggle. Bathing isn't an everyday indulgence here. Washing requires seeking bodies of water along the road, or the rare inn with a washhouse, a dirt-floored corner next to a communal tub. Clean clothes hang dry where space allows, carrying a damp smell of lingering humanity wherever you go. In rare moments, your path might intersect with the hospitality of a noble or clergy who offer accommodations of a higher standard. Stone floors replaced with woven rugs, tapestries liven the bleak stone walls, and generous beds heave with plushness. Such occasions of respite are as rare as they are cherished. These memorable stays remind you that comfort once was not simply ease, but a luxurious reprieve from endless toil. As night encloses round you in the inn's embrace, you find solace in simple rituals. Perhaps a few pages from a borrowed book, a stolen moment of reflection, or a quiet musing on the nature of hospitality and its role in human connection. These rustic settings resonate with a timeless truth. Beneath layers of discomfort and endurance, the human spirit ardently believes in the power of gathering, of sharing life's narrative over a modest hearth that guards against the dark corridors beyond. And so, as laughter and low conversations grow faint, you turn over on your makeshift bedding, hoping to snatch some sleep before the sun's first light. The night embraces you in its rustic cocoon, while the worlds beyond scatter like fading embers into the deepening stillness. Tomorrow promises another chapter carved into the road, and you, resilient traveller, will prepare anew for the path that waits outside these rickety walls. Around, you sense stories left undone and yet to be told, drifting around like ghosts of past travellers, all bound by the shared human insistence to seek restfully amid turmoil. For all its drawbacks, in these momentary sanctums, you discover a peculiar form of homecoming with each stop, weaving your journey ever onward through this tapestry thick with tradition and time. The new day brings a renewed sense of purpose, despite the lingering aches from your travels. As you set foot once more on the dusty trail, you are reminded that carrying messages from one fortress or town to another entails navigating not just roads, but the dense thicket of communication itself. In a land where dialects shift as unpredictably as the weather, the challenge of avoiding a communication breakdown is ever present. Imagine a world without standardized language, where every few miles introduces a new kind of local vernacular. The traveler becomes an unwitting linguist, piecing together phrases and customs carried by the whims of geography and the tangled roots of heritage. As a medieval messenger, the ability to adapt to these linguistic variances is as crucial as knowing the lay of the land. Your ears hone in on the subtleties of speech, tones and inflections, those lexical quirks that animate dialogue. Even greetings can carry unique flavours. What might bring a nod in one village could earn a puzzled look or a chastised sigh in another. It's a lot like stepping through an eternal game of cultural hopscotch, though one misstep might serve more than just social embarrassment. Mercantile centres in this era are alive with the chatter of traders, where merchants' tongues reflect the trade routes that crisscross vast distances. This clandestine exchange of linguistic flavouring creates a fusion of communication, a challenge, yet comedic in hindsight for anyone observing, an outsider's expressions struggling to comprehend a baffling barrage of unfamiliar sounds. Oddities emerge in mundane conversations, where yen might mean longing in one place, but could reference currency elsewhere. In some ways, language proves itself as a bridge amongst varied tribes and regions, teetering ever so precariously between cooperation and contention. Far from the globalized vernaculars of today eased by translation apps, messengers of yore had to embrace the artistry of linguistic dance, sometimes with a deft twist of mindful humour to smooth the journey. Not knowing the local language can admittedly lead to bewildering situations. Perhaps a frantic gesture where a simple yes or no might have sufficed, or comically offering unwanted goods when asking for directions to the market. Still, budding friendships often sprout from these stumblings, mirth shared in miscommunication, the entertainment value of misunderstanding, transforming potential discord into ties of companionship. For messengers, particularly those tasked with delicate missions, the stakes are higher still. Misunderstandings could muddle negotiations, delay pivotal deliveries, or even misconstrue vital details, punctuating the journey with unwanted consequences. Historians often contemplate the influence of misunderstandings sown by accidental or poorly delivered messages, pondering whether they shifted allegiances or inadvertently stoked conflicts. For all its complexities, learning to ebb and flow with the verbal shifts allows messengers to gain insight into local custom. It's akin to peeling away layers to uncover the heart of each community, its soul, expressed through songs, stories and traditions embedded deep in dialect, each vestigio offering a snapshot of regional identity. Who needs social media when you have this immersive mode of cultural understanding? With practice, you find yourself capable of moving through these linguistic labyrinths with growing ease. Honing your skills not only boosts your efficiency, but endows your journey with rich, unexpected learnings, a treasure trove of parables and parley waiting to be unravelled with each border crossed. As the sun dips below the horizon once more, painting shadows across your path, you let the nuances of these experiences guide you. Language is not merely a barrier, but the very tool you wield to navigate relations, convey narratives, and transform the simplicity of a messenger into a narrative of a silent diplomat, an emissary skilled in artful expressions. Returning to the inn for the night, these encounters fuel conversations, providing ripe comic fodder to be shared alongside meals. Reminiscing over wordplay or fragments of poetic exchanges fill tired spirits with humour warmed by the firelight. It drives home the truth that even in an era of segmented realms, the intricacies of human connection can transcend boundaries, crafting a mosaic of unity from the seemingly disparate fragments of discourse. As you drift off to sleep, the echoes of dialects weave into the tapestry of your journey, a musical interlude within the larger symphony of medieval life. Delight in the cadence of newfound phrases and camaraderie crafted by sounds, the ultimate reminder that even as paths diverge and merge, linguistic threads bind travellers through this shared odyssey, one league at a time. As dawn breaks, casting light over a world ruled alternately by shadow and warmth, your thoughts wander toward the nature of identity. In the Middle Ages, identity is far from fixed. It is an ever-shifting conundrum, often mired in confusion and consequence, particularly for messengers who frequently find themselves caught under its deceptive veil. Imagine encountering a group of soldiers on a dust-choked road, their eyes wary as they inquire about your purpose. To them, every passer-by is potentially an imposter, a spy, a rogue, or a deserter. The very role of a messenger makes you inherently suspicious, for you bear sealed-in treaties written in the hands of lords, embodying the authority and secrecy that stir both curiosity and caution. In an era devoid of formal identification papers, identifying who you are rests on a fragile web of trust and recognition. You carry your credential more in the tales you've shared amongst townsfolk than any document. It's less of a passport, more akin to a verbal calling card. People in medieval times rely heavily on an innate understanding of faces, voices, and context to confirm intentions. But for a stranger like you, this easy recognition is an elusive luxury. Perhaps you smile at the modern notion of pulling out a driver's license or ID card to verify who you are. Here, in this place governed by nods and mutual testimonies, mistaken identity is a bedeviling force. An intended recipient who mistrusts your claim might rebuff your message entirely, suspicious that your words mask unwelcome truths. Worse yet, your own name might unintentionally invite animosity, a latent rivalry awakened or forgotten grudge reignited by identifying factors projected onto you through sheer coincidence. These encounters create opportunities for misunderstandings, a web of tangled identities amongst narratives tangled in the past, sometimes with humorous results. Envision explaining yourself repeatedly, jumping through conversational hoops to align misplaced impressions with reality. You might share an amusing tale of neighbours confusing you with their long-lost cousin, humorously acknowledging the versatility of facial hair or the commonality of medieval tunics, before their suspicions thaw into shared laughter. But such mistakes are not always benign. A case of mistaken identity can transform a straightforward delivery into a dangerous endeavour if you are assumed to be someone carrying a message that threatens the delicate balance of power. You tread cautiously, double-checking seals on letters as assurances of proper conveyance, wary that a wax mark out of place might suggest unintended espionage. Historians still puzzle over accounts of famous messengers blending amidst conspiracies, inadvertently playing roles they never auditioned for, thus altering historical trajectories through no conscious design of their own. Some question whether these were merely tales spun to add allure, or whether they represent genuine instances of fortuitous risk reshaping destiny. As your confidence grows, you learn to navigate these intricacies with shrewd approachability, ensuring both tongue and demeanor adapt when circumstances warrant it. Subtle body language becomes your ally. A tilt of the head, a bow, a sincere nod. These gestures speak universal truths, bridging gaps between stranger and friend. Upon reaching unfamiliar towns, the rituals of introducing yourself become familiar in their own right, a surprisingly comforting anchor within the tumultuous sea of new faces, reaffirming who you are and why you tread these rustic roads, weaves continuity through disjointed narratives, a connector between disparate dots on an ancient map. Sometimes, you find kinship with those who too wander, exchanging looks with fellow travelers, a bond silently understood. Others might even impart tips, hints if you will, navigating the labyrinthine web of rumours and names, assisting your passage with guarded camaraderie marked by laughter or leans of whispered assurances. Despite the potential for chaos, there is a certain art to anonymous movement of freedom that modern constraints of paperwork restrict. The spontaneity of unfettered travel instills a sense of adventure, an opportunity to sculpt identity through action rather than entangled assumption. As the final miles of the day unravel beneath your feet, you reflect on the perceptions carried with each step. Being mistaken does not erase who you are. It redefines and enriches the story you carry forward. With every introduction, every renewed acknowledgement, you become simultaneously part of and separate from the collective identity marking this journey. A narrative unfolding far beyond the written words you deliver. As daylight fades, you find a measure of gratitude for the tangled paths of mistaken identity. They shape not only your voyage, but your understanding of the intricate mesh that defines humanity. The weaving of intentions and perceptions forming the vibrant mosaic you traverse. Thus, with the comfort of shared glances and the laughter from past encounters still humming gently in memory's embrace, you are lured into slumber, trusting the night to cast clarity on the facades floating in day's silhouette. Tomorrow the sun will rise on the same but ever-changing flesh of identity. Tomorrow you will greet it anew, with a nod and a name, and the road's journey to rekindle. As your journey unfolds, an unexpected aspect of being a medieval messenger continues to surprise. The dangerous goods you occasionally find yourself transporting. It becomes clear that not all messages are benign proclamations or invitations to feasts. At times, your charge is more tangible and fraught with risk. Imagine carrying a pouch heavier than usual, the weight a testament to its contents. Perhaps it's filled with gold coins, payment intended for mercenaries or tributes meant to soothe tense alliances. Gold, as you well know, tempts not just the greedy, but those who see in it a means to freedom or power. This awareness shadows your every step, enhancing the weight you feel with each mile, to say nothing of the imagined footsteps echoing your own, suggesting that suspicion is never far behind. In this world, the lines between messenger and courier blur, and you are entrusted with delivering artifacts of considerable value, gilded relics consecrated by faith, or treaties inked with the promise of peace. Each package bears its own kind of threat, whether in the attention it draws or the consequence of its loss. Each time you embark on a journey with such cargo, a palpable tension threads itself through the journey. You find yourself scanning the horizon more intently, your senses attuned to the slightest rustle or misplaced shadow. Within these woods, threats are visceral and immediate, the taproot of fear tethering you to wary vigilance as you presume everyone a potential adversary. Be it a thief lying in wait, or a peasant wondering why a lone figure guards their bundle so jealously, the menace is an undercurrent requiring constant assessment. Historians still argue whether messages' routes were often rerouted or sophisticatedly designed to cloak the movement of precious items, perhaps even to serve as a distraction themselves. Yet the very idea of subterfuge adds layers to an already complex picture, where a messenger's path becomes enmeshed in political and communal intrigue. It's moments like these when the ordinary act of unrolling parchment transforms entirely into a potential pivot point. Was the message meant to secure aid, or was it bait for an elaborate trap? Just as the roads twist and bend, so do the intentions curling within these folds of linen and wax. Your duty is not to question the veracity, merely the efficiency of its delivery. An unsettling reality underscores each task. Your well-being is secondary to the mission's success. Assault for coin exchange sits heavily beside declarations, each revealing truths best left shadowed, or open secrets barely masked by decorum. You move amongst secrets and knowledge that are not yours to decipher, yet any deceit, any lapse could entangle you irreversibly in unseen machinations. Openly carrying such valuables presents challenges, as does concealing them. Gap-filled terrain and dirt lanes yield a practical hiding challenge, but ingenuity prevails, sometimes cloaking items in mundane disguises, embedded in ordinary things or entrusted to the innocence of livestock saddlebags. These make for thrilling visual montages one might find in tales whispered by town criers, evoking the ingenuity inspired by necessity. There is a distant amusement in realizing modern parallels, how such historical clandestine conundrums echo modern espionage and covert operations. Yet within these echoes lies a sobering truth. The stakes are as real as the footsteps overlaying centuries. In rare fortune, assistance comes when needed from unexpected allies. Perhaps a farmer who recognizes a fellow in distress, offering discreet aid that's never fully repayable. Or a fellow traveller who asks questions for which you share no answers, but whose presence serves as an unacknowledged deterrent against unwelcome attention. They, like you, become part of a play, with constantly shifting roles and scripts unwritten, yet well acted. Every task completed, every package surrendered without fanfare, lifts an invisible burden and adds a page to your evolving identity. You grow alongside each brush with intrigue, deepening your craft, cultivating resilience, and perhaps a flicker of admiration amidst the din of danger. At last a familiar inn beckons. Warm light a welcoming embrace against the darkening dusk. Your strides hasten, driven less by haste than by anticipation. Deliverance is both physical and metaphorical. A return to temporary sanctuary where the whispers of peril soften into the rhythmic, reassuring hum of conversation. As you settle in, toasted ale and companionship unwind tense muscles coiled from constant awareness. With each sip, the lines blur between enemy and friend, risk and reward, until only the soft murmurs of the inn remain. Thus, as the quiet chill of the evening blankets your thoughts, you find solace beneath the knobbed rafters, aware that tomorrow's dawn may summon another peculiar bundle pressed into your care. But for now, under a sky pinpricked by indifferent stars, you allow yourself the comfort of dreams untethered by duty's perilous reach. The passage of time on the road is marked not just by the steps you take or the landscapes you traverse, but by the weight of the messages snugly nestled within your pouch. As a medieval messenger, the nature of your cargo is as varied as the faces you encounter. From mundane announcements to dangerous decrees, each scroll or letter you deliver carries its own strange power. An unseen force wielded by a flick of ink on parchment. Not every message stokes the fires of controversy or heralds sweeping political change. Many, in fact, are just as trivial as notifying a distant noble of a hunting party or relaying mundane directives from one manor to another. They may lack glamour, yet these threads stitch the intricate fabric of everyday life, holding communities together in a web of continuing communication. As you deliver them, a strange satisfaction trickles in. An acknowledgement of being privy, even in minute ways, to the subtle structures that keep life moving forward. There's a sense of duty in transporting these missives, of being an integral, though invisible, gear within the medieval machinery of information. Yet occasionally you encounter messages bearing the imprint of consequence, a shift in tone that alters the nature of your duty. Their weight grows heavier each step, mirroring the gravity of the words they contain, declarations of war, demands for allegiance, or personal appeals woven with urgency. Amongst these, certain messages contain veiled threats or ambiguous orders wrapped in the vagueness that speaks of volatile emotions. Whether concocted in secretive halls or whispered at midnight rendezvous, the charge of delivering such missives necessitates a level of discretion, where you deliver words but not always the feelings that birthed them. Imagine delivering a letter that appoints a rival holding a position of authority, stoking shadows across halls once bustling with kinship. Historians often debate whether messengers caught snippets of the power plays they inadvertently facilitated. Were they aware of the shifting alliances their deliveries enacted? Or did they remain blissfully ignorant, carriers of change cloaked under murky allegiances? The arguments fill the pages of dusty tomes, but for those walking paths of yore, the answer remains a quiet mystery, echoing with the footfalls of history. But the tale of your journey brims with the unexpected, and there are messages meant to be playful jests rather than serious orders. Lords with a sense of whimsy might send riddles teasing remote kin, or dares enticing fellows into grand displays of might or merriment. You become the catalyst here, sparking laughter or face-palmed reminders that sometimes power comes wrapped with peculiar humour. You pay attention to such quirks. Eisenhower, you remember, sent missives to another court that jested about having outwitted a woodland fox, a fantastical feat narrated in absurdly humorous detail, cultivating levity amidst political posturing. These tales morph into laughter shared by recipients and acquaintances alike, a reminder that amidst all solemnity, the human spirit clings to levity, channeling history through storytelling. Yet, the power contained on these seemingly innocuous pieces of parchment holds sway over your direction, aspiration, and endurance, particularly when you grasp the personal nature of some, those secret communications spun by tangled emotions and concealed by intentional ambiguity. Picture, if you will, the whispered yearnings of penned love, or the heartfelt partings of those separated by land and loyalty. Each delivery amplifies the sense of intimacy within transactions, whether it's messages shrouded in romantic secrecy or politically tinged directives that shape a family's narrative for generations. Beyond mere conveyance, your role transforms each mission into a drop in the ripple of time, resonating far beyond its written constraints. Nightling down at an inn, your day's memories coil and settle, blending with the muted hubbub of fellow wanderers. Stories are exchanged, some etched in breezy mirth, others shadowed by intrigue, a collection of experiences weaving tapestry as vivid as it is immutable until sleep casts its gentle net. Years may accrue, fortifying the countless messages you safeguard on your travels. And within each generation, a messenger like you treads paths that kings and paupers both must heed. For when words transform into echoes of far-reaching havoc or joy, you stand simultaneously apart and central to the heralded silence. Thus come the dawn, as your strides venture forth in harmony with civilization's wandering tick. You'll carry not just the weight of words, but the aspiration of countless souls banking on each journey, a ripple along the continuum of history, with your unseen hand steering its course. Through vaudeville of letters, the fire crackles softly as morning vapours rise into the chill air, casting a pale glow across the forest that edges the path before you. Today, like many others, your journey will take you through untamed lands, where nature maintains its dominion. Though the weight of messages can be pressing, there is another force of nature that contours your thoughts: wildlife, in all its glory and menace. Travelling through the medieval landscape means sharing the road with creatures just as invested in survival as you. The woods echo with the calls of nature's denizens, an orchestral background drumming into your consciousness. Among these sounds are the haunting howls of wolves running just beyond sight, and it's a chilling reminder of the world's untamed elements, as real then on the pages of your vivid dreams as now. Imagine this: traversing a winding path shrouded in mist, your senses attuned to every rustle, every branch snapped underfoot. You are the stranger here, a solitary figure amidst beasts who map the land far better than any lord's surveyor. A traveller must respect these creatures, and this timeless etiquette enhances both protection and awe. Your body moves instinctively, awareness heightened by an ancestral alertness burned into human consciousness from epochs spent wary of unseen predators. Stories drift through memory, tales of unfortunate messengers ambushed by bears and boars, their cargo and cause scattered among claw marks and whispers of failed fortitude. However, the lore isn't all perilous. It weaves in gentle narratives too. Travellers admit to unexpected companions given by hounds or curious foxes, sometimes padding silently alongside for a stretch, their presence non-threatening, offering corporeal camaraderie amid solitude. Some historical accounts, including those lightly embellished over time, speak of messengers befriending these wild creatures, finding in their loyalty a protection that no human retinue could provide. Historians still argue whether these are embroidery upon fact, or the human need to pass on the legend of having tamed a sliver of the wild. For the pragmatic traveller, knowledge of the animal world is vital. You learn to read signs, scat and prints left in the forest floor, so that danger doesn't take you unawares at dusk, the time when creatures most frightful emerge under the veil of night. The education is passed through generations, shared at the fire of every hearth, a living manual on confronting or avoiding creatures, marking territories thousands of years older than any king's decree. Tips range from making loud noises to deter bears, to wearing certain garments believed to mask human scent, an inventive mesh of folklore and genuine savvy. Like every aspect of medieval travel, encounters with nature are also flavoured with a measure of superstition, where wolves are sometimes seen as guardians or omens bestowed by spectral forces. They feature in dreams stirred by mundane fatigue, morphing into protectors carrying ancient wisdom across wondrous landscapes. It's not just the threat to one's person, but the curious blend of respect and fear these animals command that shapes your view. Modern folks savour their rarity within the confines of screens, a distant echo from the realities that early travellers negotiated with tangible, rhythmical caution. Wild boar, too, are formidable in their bulk and ferocity. On occasion, at campfires, energetic recountings recount those surprise encounters that swiftly transform knights and messengers alike into unarmed competitors against beasts born of bristle and fury. You've heard your share of such tales, making your way through the paths where boars once roamed freely, reading the land for oblique warnings. Even the nightly calls of smaller creatures, owls hooting their solemn refrains, or deer grazing in moonlight, compass a landscape rich with life's ceaseless pursuits. It's a soundtrack unlike any other, a mix of nature's percussion that frames the simplicity of silence, interspersed with life's sudden, dramatic chords. As dusk approaches again and your feet press onward, you become a more profound participant of what the wilderness holds, not a mere spectator, but an archetype of the enduring bond and dichotomy between man and the world beyond human making. Settling into another night's rest, beneath a canopy of stars twinkling with faint echoes of ancient eyes, you remain a messenger of human endeavour, threading paths woven between civilization's tentative grasp and nature's endless realm. It is under this shared sky that you find a kinship with creatures shadowed in mystery and wonder until the joining of dawn. So balance on these narratives that carry you forward, knowing that in this shared tapestry, humans and animals alike write their stories with broad strokes and whispered breath. The morning greets you with a brisk chill that seeps into your bones, urging you into motion, if only to shake off the night's numbing effects. As you ready yourself for another day on the road, you gather your belongings, each item a testament to a traveller's needs. Sturdy boots, a thick cloak, and the essential messenger's satchel. But reliance on your gear is a precarious affair, and you quickly learn that fickle equipment can complicate even the simplest of journeys. In the medieval landscape, ensuring your gear is both functional and durable is crucial. It's your armour against the elements and adversities of the road. Yet the equipment available to you isn't always reliable. Every now and then, even the most trusted items fail when least expected, leaving you to improvise solutions on the fly. Take your travelling boots, for instance. After miles upon miles, the inevitable wear and tear sets in. Soles wear thin, eyelets fray, and the leather grows supple with overuse. When, mid-journey, a boot finally gives way, you're left scrambling for replacement materials or, in some cases, forced to trudge onward with one good shoe and another cobbled with wrapped cloth or an inventive patch. There's a sort of admiration you develop for modern footwear, where such dilemmas are less frequent and more swiftly addressed. For all the historical charm, the absence of standardization means every piece of equipment boasts quirks specific to its make. Fasteners that refuse to fasten, clasps that unhook at a whim, and bags that sag from the weight they compromise. Echoes of frustration sometimes escape in the spirit of unwelcome comedy, a laughter shared amongst fellow travellers, familiar with these compounding challenges. Historians still argue whether craftsmen prioritized beauty over function, striving for ornate designs at the expense of practical durability, or whether the reality was simply material limitations. Either way, your journey unfurls amidst these tangible limitations, a test not just of endurance but creativity, turning adversity into opportunity for inventiveness. Improvisation, that becomes a skill you quickly hone, using vines to replace broken straps, or fashioning a walking stick from a gnarled branch picked up along the trail, might not mirror modern convenience, but they spare you from resorting to despair. There's a certain charm in reimagining the mundane as a catalyst for invention, echoing the resilience of human spirit throughout time. Sometimes it's your cloak, served both as protection from the weather and an impromptu blanket, which makes you realize its hemorrhage. When the fabric snags on a protruding thorn or sharp-edged stone, hastily mending those rips with whatever thread you can muster becomes essential. It's less about precision than about practicality, a matter of survival, where patchwork conveys stories etched in frayed stitches. Tools of barter play a crucial role. As you trade your news and services for rival supplies or mending, blacksmiths heat forgily ironed replacements. Tailors stitch your much-needed repair. Each encounter an alliance briefly bound against the fates working to erode both spirit and possessions. There's a sense of pride that develops through such trials, a reinforcement of independence where convenience is not granted but earned through effort and fortitude. As the road stretches before you, your experiences deepen, your skill set expands, repairing broken gear, finding ways to remedy persistent issues. Such are the arts learned amidst binding landscapes and miles of mutual company. Here, you transcend your era to become part of an evolution, a link stretching through unwritten histories and timeless stories of human resourcefulness. These personal battles with wayward equipment aren't always lonely affairs. Camaraderie with fellow travelers turns into impromptu workshops of shared knowledge, where laughter and lament mix, and inventiveness in foreign lands breeds friendships forged in good-humoured adversity. Whether it's improvising tent pegs from snapped branches or crafting makeshift shoes from animal hide, the ability to adapt grants you the edge you need to continue. The road may be long, but these lessons remind you that perseverance and a dose of ingenuity will always light your path, imbuing it with a unique blend of humour and tenacity. As night falls once more, you tuck your tools by your side, wiser for the challenges faced and solutions found. Each fix serves as a testament to your journey, remembered not solely by the miles traversed, but by the tenacity expressed in the very essence of cobbled and mended things. With equipment at your side and endurance in your heart, you settle into the calm rhythm of the night, your dreams once again knitted from the curious patchwork of fealty and fortitude. As dawn unfurls its golden waves over the misty morning, you prepare to depart, adjusting your satchel with care and ensuring your cloaked hood rests securely on your head. Every day in the life of a medieval messenger is dictated by vigilance, a survival mechanism honed not only for the elemental challenges, but also because of the constant watchful eye cast upon you by those you meet along the way. Picture now the landscape, the rolling hills and cobbled roads, villages nestled against fields, and imposing castles that stand as sentinels of feudal domains. Each of these also signifies the presence of people, locals, travellers, guards, each with their own gaze. Here, you're more than a passerby. You're a vessel of information, important and suspicious in equal measure. The moment you set foot in a new settlement, eyes turn to you, an outsider bearing unknown messages, shrouded in mysteries and potential disruption. Trust isn't given freely, especially here where allegiances are contingent on birth, wealth and fealty. Your old clomping boots might as well enter stage right to a world steeped in its own history, its inhabitants guardians of both tradition and trepidation. You're required to navigate the intricate dance of inquiry with these ever-watchful eyes, the guards at each town entrance who inspect you with faint suspicion, the villagers whose hushed whispers echo along your path, and merchants who track your movements with intrigue. These immediate interactions form a familiar part of your routine, a choreography of compliance and subtle assertion. While some welcome news, others perceive messages as seeds of discord, harbingers casting their shadows upon the delicate equilibriums of power or trade. You become adept at reading the room, a subtle glance, an uneasy shift of weight, but careful not to draw undue attention. Historians still debate whether such scrutiny carried deeper implications, shaping destinies based on delivered tidings. Were messengers manipulated pawns in wider games, aware of their unintended influence, or simply vessels of transactional necessity? To mitigate suspicions requires mastery of presence, a neat composure that projects authority and humility in measures befitting your role. Your words become as much of a presentation as the scrolls you bear, calibrating honesty with discretion so as to assure and placate those curious of your duty. Behind each routine encounter lies a strategic exchange woven with invisible threads of diplomacy. You navigate through shifting tides of perception, recognizing those needing reassurance and others whose vigilance signifies deeper alignment. Courting favor sometimes involves deliberate displays of authenticity. Revealing fragments of your personhood humor reliably softens wary gazes, while woven tales assumed to be mere trifles camouflage the depth of your mission. But understanding glances can support solitude. Fellow travelers, too, maintain guarded expressions to strangers, each encounter a dance between reserve and refutable comradeship. Strangers may become allies if trade yields promising prospects, but once destinations split, each echoes the solitude of corteges diverging into new unknowns. The commonality lies serene in traversing paths mapped beyond the allure of inns and cobblestone. Or consider the court-lordly halls echoing with the clangour of armour and hushed deliberations. Here, scrutiny takes a gilded form where presumptive smiles veil calculations beneath courtly etiquette. The deeds misattributed to intrigue or allegiance require persistence, the knowledge that behind masquerade lies the unyielding machinery of governance. Within this lie whispers of endless unwritten narratives, invitation, withdrawal, favour shifting as tactically as shifting sands. Against this backdrop, perspective itself becomes an adaptable cloak, thickened and drawn as shadows intrude and recede in endless cycle. Perhaps the most comforting remnants amidst watchful scrutiny are the unnoticed feats left unclaimed and disclosed and unacknowledged by time, absent from ledger and law alike. Few remain privy to the depth of truths framing the boundaries of suspicion. Remaining glimpses undenied from recorded narrative, revelations thin as parchment, yet enormous within the confines of history's scrolls. Night once again blankets the land, and as the glow of fires illuminate windows of the village, you find respite in anonymity, amidst your own tale marked by wood, clay, and the quiet rustle of leaf against the windowpane. Within this ink-jotted journal of echoes and shadows, there exists a fleeting calm, tinged with bittersweet solace. In a world tuned to observe and absorb intentions, you draw sustenance from the intervals bridging action and silence, knowing that when morning light emerges again, your steps will resume their rhythm as both known emissary and unknown muse of whispered tales. So rest in gratitude for a world wrapped in its own vigilance, for it presents not obstacles but opportunities from which your story emerges, not merely from destination to destination, but as a testimony to enduring resilience threaded into the fabric of timeless journeys. As the wisps of dawn trail across a fresh canvas of morning sky, you embark on yet another leg of your journey. The brisk air invigorates your senses, a gentle reminder that while the road may be long, the troubles you face are not merely born of weary miles or wary gazes. There's a more intimate adversary that shadows every step you take, the constant spectre of health hazards that lurk along the arduous path of a medieval messenger. Living in a time where medical understanding scarcely extends beyond rudimentary balms and the humour's balancing act, health is a capricious companion. Each day carries the risk of illness, a spectre that looms large over every traveller exposed to the whims of untamed environments and modest sanitation. A mere chill in the crisp morning air can manifest into a cough that clings with obstinate resilience, threatening to derail the most pressing of missions. As you tread pathways sprawled under forest canopy or sunlit fields, the threat of injury is just as real. Shifting terrain that holds pitfall potential or unseen, jagged rocks hiding just beneath loose dirt import a cautious gait. A turned ankle or a fall could incapacitate you, transforming intention into idle frustration, forcing you into unwanted idleness while precious time ticks away. Supplies in tow include modest tinctures, herbs and salves invested with the wisdom of herbalists who thrive where formal theory falters. While you cherish these ancient methods, they serve as a solemn reminder of limitations when confronting this array of physical trials. Historians paint portraits of such practices with dichotomous strokes, bestowing equal measure to belief as they do skepticism, a debate framing the pathways of healing through history. Despite this reliance on folk remedies, the medieval traveller's resilience draws heavily from common sense. You've equipped yourself with knowledge gleaned not from better medical tracts, but from the hearty tales shared by innkeepers and fellow travellers. Lessons entwined in the narratives relay which plants soothe fevers or briefly nullify the sting of insect bites that paint nighttime skin with fever. This uncertain terrain becomes a theatre where intellect primes against unpredictability. You navigate illness and injury with cautious pragmatism, relying on mnemonic codes that permit you to live beyond mere momentary boundaries. It's an elaborate dance where survival becomes a matter of correlation between intuition and experience amidst the harried blur of travel. However, a cold sweat trickles down your neck when the reality dawns that some threats are not merely born within the microbe or environment, but another primal scourge: humans harboring illness. Words whispered in concealed spaces recount tales of pestilence engulfing entire communities, where sudden outbreaks alter social frameworks far removed from your immediate route. Given no forewarning, a bustling town might yet lie eerily silent, streets emptied of hustle and vibrancy, reserved for those left untouched by unseen forces. It is here where the implications of health play foreshadowed consequence upon the harried roads, navigating spaces left desolate, folk marked by disease whose legacies linger in whispers more than statistic. In such harrowing domains, movement becomes measured, calculated anew, with imprints of hostility born in haste. Surviving pestilence demands delicate balancing not just of body, but heart, cultivated to remain true amidst vacant homes and forlorn market squares. Deep-seated empathy resonates beneath apprehensive footing, casting into question the fine tether of human connection warbled by survival. Yet amid such recollections of spirit arise sheltered enclosures. A wooden spoon bomb might serve as healing burrow, flecked with river mint, untouched by communes with nature, dotted with translucent dew in secret corner bins. Blessed are these chances to regain strength whilst reassuring courage's resolve, tempered amid chill's affinity. Likewise, companionship proves itself through expressions of human kindness, an acted reminder that in the shared struggle of health, stakes are both personal and collectively borne. A passerby gifted with the knowledge of salves or an herbalist whose patience weaves life back into a frayed traveller becomes an ally often unseen until moment demands it. Their offerings are rendered selflessly, not derived from transactional exchange, but shared kinship bonded by traversed terrain. As time unfolds its tether-through journeys, you learn to accord respect to these custodians of lore, whose catalogues of experience remain as enduring as any parchment scroll, histories penned by those who touch humanity with gauze and restorative balms. Such resilience are like threads firmly through your own journey, adhering core spirit with ardent resolution, mending in consequence the singular bloom long shadows cast as day closes and as lantern light flickers overhead. You find comfort knowing that despite ailments, despite fatigue, an undying tenacity holds steadfast your quest. Though health risks persist as uninvited companions, they frame within you a grateful resolve, bonding strength and vulnerability in equal measure, cradling heart against the unknown potential of each new dawn. Thus, as whispering embers blink where moonbeams blend, you close your tired eyes, hopeful for the restoration of both dream and marrow, solace unburdened by the maladies of age, who bear you within, fabric wrung between realms, each urging map gently beckoning the memory-strung traveller, ever onward. With the breaking light of dawn, you rise again, shaking off the remnants of sleep. The road, ever beckoning, waits for no one. It's a relentless mistress, but for you its constancy is a paradoxical comfort. Yet the nature of this life brings with it a paradox of its own, the unending void. Herein lies the true challenge of the medieval messenger, the solitary journey through vast, uncaring expanses, allowing existential thoughts to creep in as you traverse long-forgotten trails. With each step, the rhythm of your feet becomes a soundtrack, the steady beat forming a backdrop against which your thoughts can intangibly dance. At first, your mind clings to the minutiae, the crispness of the morning air, the birds heralding the dawn, the way sunlight filters through the leaves to dapple the ground. But over time, the surrounding silence swells and fills the spaces around you. This solitude becomes a canvas upon which the spectre of the unending void paints its imagery. In the cocoon of your mind, thoughts grow, a mix of wonder at the ever-spanning horizons and the whisper of improvisations that flit through your consciousness. You wrestle with notions that seldom surface in busy, populated places, pondering life's larger questions. Historians still argue whether solitude on these ancient roads facilitated enlightenment or purely desolation for medieval messengers. What is clear, though, is that an introspective cocoon forms subtly around you during these long stretches of travel, an inward retreat affecting both outlook and fortitude. The void is not without its gifts. From it emerges a profound clarity, a connection with oneself rarely afforded amid crowded halls or bustling marketplaces. You become keenly attuned to the soul's stirrings. whether sorrow threaded amidst echoes of laughter, or memory's flickers surfacing unbidden, shaping who you are beneath the burdens you carry. And yet, the void carries within it echoes too, a reminder of the vastness of the world, rendering personal struggles etherized whispers against the large canvas of history. You sense not just the loneliness inherent in long journeys, but the magnificence of existing within such boundless creation. Each step places you within the script of a grand, unseen narrative, one in which you are both spectator and player. Loneliness, while challenging, highlights resilience. A dance of exaltation juxtaposed with introspection reveals itself in moments of epiphany, a sudden understanding of a complex issue, a unique appreciation for the natural world, or even a newfound comprehension of personal convictions. These stolen insights grow within your void, illuminating corners of the mind, brightening paths shadowed amid routine. But the dangers of such philosophical wanderings loom ever present, teetering toward feeling lost within the limitations imposed by solitude. For what is juxtaposed between self-discovery and comprehensive harmony can also swiftly tilt toward despair. It's in these moments of potential darkness, where moments of levity gained from previous journeys, a shared joke, a jovial song, or a heartfelt story shine brightest, offering shelter against the tide of desolation. These memories serve as flickering beacons, guiding your internal compass back to shores of optimism when the void attempts its takeover. Amongst other travelers crossing your path, there is an unspoken understanding, a shared recognition of souls touched by countless miles and archaic quests. A brief exchange of words or an empathetic smile extended across the lonely divide acts as a reminder that while footfalls travel across countless miles, they leave behind the indelible prints of togetherness. As the horizon brightens and dusk edges into night, you retreat to the comfort of fresh memories woven onto an elapsed day, a time capsule to bear wherever future roads may stretch. The void, though defining much of the messenger's life, becomes part of a larger narrative, where every ending births a new beginning, each departure intertwining with the song of the road. Inside your tent, beneath starlit canopies, the infinite realm spirals onward, an expansive emptiness merged with ephemeral fullness. So, when the chill of the void settles around you in the thickening dark, you draw closer to contented introspection. For every pathway traversed and each dreamscape envisioned, you emerge from the void enriched. Underneath the sleeping sky, you find solace in the rhythm of continuance, a pilgrim navigating concepts and constellations alike, writing enduring sonnets of humanity's journey upon the tapestry of eternities yet spun. As dawn unfurls its soft light across the waking landscape, you rise once more, eager yet apprehensive about the miles ahead. Each day as a medieval messenger is punctuated by more than the mere passing of time, and today is no exception. As the path stretches onward, drawing you into unfamiliar territories, you prepare to engage with the local customs unique to each region you traverse. This ever-present dance of understanding and adaptation is as integral to your duties as the messages you carry. With each new village or town, you find yourself plunging into a tapestry of traditions and behaviors that ripple with the colors of local history. Customs vary tremendously, from the way people greet one another to the etiquette involved in communal eating, each distinct in its own identity. What is warmly accepted as a gesture of goodwill in one hamlet might be perceived as an affront in another, leaving you perpetually alert, absorbing details with the acuity of a seasoned diplomat. Quirky traditions emerge, often endowed with a history as tangled as the roots of the ancient forests you pass. Perhaps in one town, placing a sprig of lavender behind your ear signals amicable intentions, a gesture dating back to tales spun of fair folk and ancient treaties honoured in floral symbols. You smile at the quaintness, adapting with thoughtful intent whenever necessary, grasping at the roots of stories that weather time with admirable resilience. Your encounters also awaken a kind of enjoyable perplexity, a chance to witness human idiosyncrasies unfold in their diverse eclecticism. These customs defy logic at times, as when witnessing a festival devoted to the harvest spirit, with villagers dancing in fields while bedecked with corn husk masks, a surreal tableau that blurs the lines between fantastical allegory and historic expression. Then there are customs that are as endearing as they are confounding. In towns nestled along the rivers, you might find yourself drawn into a festival of lanterns, casting their soft glow across gently lapping waters, a communal dance of light reflecting joyous union and shared histories. Words shared during such festivals, whether broken by laughter or epitaphs to bygone days, offer profound glimpses into collective remembrances. Historians still argue over the origins of some of these traditions, debating whether they were deliberately constructed as bonds of unity or merely arose as chance celebrations of human creativity and resilience. Each hypothesis adds another thread to the vibrant, varied tapestry of human customs. However, encountering peculiar customs naturally fosters potential for both amusing and awkward moments. An attempt to bow when a curtsy would suffice, or addressing a local elder without the emblems of reverence, easily creates ripples of unintended amusement or, worse, disapproval. You tread carefully, employing humour to bridge cultural divides when missteps occur, transforming mishaps into moments of shared laughter and mutual goodwill. These encounters infuse your journeys with vibrancy, allowing you to weave your own narrative alongside those of the people you meet. Each interaction enriches and challenges your understanding of identity, a reminder that behind the myriad fads, the core essence of humanity's quest for belonging remains unsurvivably similar. Your personal kaleidoscope of experiences expands with every step, as each unique custom inspires a dialogue of empathy and comprehension. Through genuine engagement with these traditions, you build bridges of understanding, forming connections that go beyond mere delivery notes or superficial exchanges. In some towns, the relationships that blossom delightfully defy the transient nature of your mission. Stories of your adventures carry through marketplaces and festival nights, becoming part of the oral histories recounted to newcomers just as widely as the messages you deliver. You find that bonds forged amidst shared meals, customs, and laughter remain even as the road carries you elsewhere. As twilight envelops another day, you find yourself resting near the village common, enveloped in the companionship of newfound friends who, albeit briefly, waltz into your life's dance. The intertwining narratives you have gathered travel with you into the map-dotted night, testament to a multicultural expedition wrapped in canvas cloaks and earthen roads. As you drift to sleep under the wide canopy of stars, each twinkling light a sentry to untold customs still awaiting discovery, the prospect of wakening to new cultures becomes an unshakable cloak of anticipation. For in this vast, immeasurable journey, it isn't just landscapes that change, but the very stories you etch onto the parchment of your soul, till the pen whispers gently to trails against the horizon, born anew with every dawn. Morning breaks once more, and with it comes the realization that today your path will intersect with something both pervasive and powerful: religion. In a medieval world where faith weaves its way through the very fabric of daily life, navigating the varied religious expectations becomes an essential part of your journey. But the presence of religious influence is evident long before you reach each new town or monastery, as crosses, shrines, and sacred groves punctuate the landscape, each marking the territory not just of man, but of the divine. Religion in this era isn't just a personal affair. It's woven intricately into the societal structures that govern life. Whether you are passing through a village under the shadow of a towering cathedral or skirting around the rough beauty of a pagan sacred site, the expectations surrounding your behavior can vary wildly. On some occasions, the solemn bell of a church calls people to prayer, and you find yourself pulled by the tide of communal spirituality. All work pauses as faith takes precedence. As you tread these sacred paths, a sense of reverence colours your actions. Each encounter brings an air of humility. Whether you're sharing a modest meal at a monastery, impressing travellers with tales of your pilgrimage, or offering a quiet nod to a roadside shrine, your experiences swerve between wondrous and strange, every symbol, every ritual rendered in microcosm throughout your travels, casting cultural techniques that span the breadth of human emotion and aspiration. Some regions demand intricate observances. Whether lighting a candle at a wayside chapel or silently bowing as a cleric passes, you're expected to acknowledge the larger-than-life spectre of divinity. Missing a crucial part of these complex rituals isn't merely a social faux pas. It's seen as potential moral failure, risking isolation from communities wary of divine reproach. Humour finds itself sometimes in these grave formalities, where ill-timed sneezes or a misquote might render unintended levity in situations where solemnity rules. You discover the beauty in these customs, like the sacred symbiosis binding the soul to earth and sky through fleeting moments of ritual, but also frustration. In places where religion forms the very backbone of authority, the lines between spiritual guidance and control blur. Historians still argue about the extent to which medieval faith both unified societies and enabled hierarchies within. In the tension of this debate, your own journey unveils the complexity of this twofold grace: liberation and restriction, drawn across the heart's landscape. Then there are the lively traditions unique to remote regions, where spiritual expression takes on forms that historians view with curiosity and wonder. Picture yourself stumbling upon a congregation chanting songs under the moonlit boughs of a forest, a spectacle unlike any other, where ethereal voices lift prayers skyward. Participating, or simply observing, these rituals imbues your path with mystery, enriching the journey with the sensation of touching the infinite, albeit briefly. As a messenger, your particular path harmonizes and clashes with these influences, and you adapt. Harnessing unspoken wisdom from every sacred exchange, you navigate theological debates in tavern corners and express the language of respect in simple offerings left by altars. In return, you find sanctuary offered not just in hem-stitched linen and baked bread, but within the gentle tide pool of shared beliefs uniting carry-on and commoner alike. Pilgrim bands appear, marching toward faraway shrines, and their fervor is both energizing and humbling. They remind you of the universality of seeking a purpose that knits roads and destinies in patterns only the divine can trace. While specific beliefs diverge, the encompassing search for meaning, for understanding within this vast existence, is a thread you've touched in varied forms, like tapping into the silent beat of the world itself. As twilight descends, and your latest day's journey wends toward its inevitable close, you find solace within the warmth of church walls, flush with the forgiveness of faintly burning tapers. The echo of hymnals, half-remembered prayers, murmurs, repetition, arrest, then revelation, finds its way to you. Guided by nebulae of dreams and faith not vanished, but transformed, the interplay of heaven and earth accompanies your gentle slip into sleep beneath celestial guardians watching over humankind's penitent wanderings. Deep within, you carry forth each miracle of revelation, whispered oath and vigil bliss. The tapestry threaded through time like stars framing an endless nightscape. In your journey across the medieval expanse, each holy site and lit candle carries significance beyond the individual facades of faith. For at the dawn of each new day's path, these sacred ties lead you unerringly toward greater landscapes of shared spirit, resonances of grace and unity lighting the horizon where future beckons. Soft, ethereal dawn, unscrawlable, comprehend life's unending web. As the sun stretches its golden tendrils over the landscape once more, rousing you to the rhythmic cadence of travel, you are reminded of yet another layer in your journey, navigating the rigid societal structures that define medieval life. Though you are a messenger, a solitary figure weaving through villages and courts, your experiences are continually colored by the intricate hierarchies and social strictures that shape the world. These societal constructs are the unseen lines drawn across the map, influencing every interaction and decision along your path. Hierarchy in medieval society is as deeply entrenched as the roots of the ancient oaks that stand sentinel over the countryside. The rigid delineations of class and status govern the way you're received and treated. From the echoing halls of a lord's manor to the smoky confines of a peasant's hut, you sense the invisible walls erected between noble and common folk wherever you travel. To tread these roads means to constantly shift your demeanor, adapting to the cues dictated by rank and title. A gentle nod or deferential bow becomes part of your arsenal for navigating encounters with those of higher status. Here, an avenue where mistaken identity can bear real consequence, where correctness and address assume behavioral stakes within a given society. In some ways, your position as a messenger grants you a peculiar pass through these echelons, for your purpose is singular and necessary. You carry with you messages from one tier of society to another, a bridge of communication between disparate worlds. This unique role insulates you from some of the harshest strictures, allowing you access where others might face barriers. But you're always acutely aware of the delicate balance you must maintain. Those moments of crossing the threshold into a grand manor or castle bring with them an aura of restrained opulence, where the subtle jangle of chainmail echoes beneath unyielding banners. You can almost hear the whispers of history bearing authority on the backs of regal chairs, the lineage of power tracing its way on each sculpted facade. Amidst this backdrop of aristocratic protocol, your awareness sharpens, every gesture scrutinized, every word measured. Mistakes can be costly both to your mission and your person. A misstep might be forgiven outside these walls, but garner different repercussions within, whether delivered within fealty or faith. Nonetheless, you find the resilience hidden within essential adaptability, humor weaving itself into small moments to ease tension when needed. In contrast, life among those of lesser stature presents its own complexities. Though simpler in materiality, it is no less rich in tradition and expectation. Peasants extend hospitality, mindful of invisible bonds forged in communal necessity, yet cautious against overreach. Sharing tales at hearths well-tended brings the warmth of connection, despite spectres of destitution clouding daily circumstances. Historians continue to debate the influence and rigidity of these societal structures. Were they simply mechanisms of oppression, or did they serve to preserve order in an unpredictable world? What remains clear is that navigating these divides successfully requires a nuanced understanding of human nature, the kindness and cruelty both capable within the societal machine. Ironically, through these silent performance rituals, you find solace recognizing in the faces of serfs and nobles alike the universal yearning for safety, achievement, and understanding. Beneath gilded robes or coarse tunics, hearts carried forth by hope remain constant, inviting through shared smiles, aligning the contours of love, loss, joy. And it's here that the unexpected emerges, the many stories, the shared dreams exchanged through conversations begun over clinking tankards or solemn prayers. For even amid the cacophony of stratified existence, you discover companionship within common paths, a common language transcending the stark delineations between plebeian earthbound dreams and celestial epicure. As evening gilds the world with soft shadows, you sit in hushed stillness amidst the weightless buzz of night, realizing that though diverse society weaves contentious lines between roles and statuses, it is through your journey of service and observation that you glimpse truth beyond preconceived borders. In the space of your travel moons, you measure love, fate, and resilience within the binding narrative of life, through joy and sorrow interwoven alike. Whenever your path shrouds within mistrust, you heed the melody of humanity's sheltering. Friendships across thresholds shared regardless of imposed rules. The dawn echoes out with silent humility, and with it the unwritten chord of your life weaves anew over unseen lands. This chorus of experience, illuminating the shadows and radiance inherent neither bound nor determined solely by role, but by the essence of being, it welcomes you, once again guided by its ancestral refrain, as each day within your endless journey it enriches like sunlight cast gently between steadfast moments of time, onward. The waning light softens the contours of your path as a new day begins, the air infused with the scent of earth and possibility. In the quietude of dawn, your senses awaken not just to the world's tangible aspects, but to the more spectral narratives that accompany medieval roots. The rumours and legends whispered from ear to ear, growing larger as they move with the wind. These stories, both enthralling and cautionary, shape your passage through villages and wildlands alike, leaving impressions you must navigate as carefully as weather or terrain. Legends are woven into the medieval psyche like threads in a tapestry, strings of oral tradition passed from generation to generation, marked by the embellishments of time. Each tale bears the hallmark of its teller, growing richer and more fantastical with each retelling. As a messenger crisscrossing the land, you become both an inadvertent chronicler and a participant in these narratives, absorbing the tales of mythical creatures, enchanted groves, and holy relics that pepper your journey as surely as any landmark or milestone. One day, as you traverse the shadow-dappled woods, you hear the tale of a spectral knight who roams the forest, said to appear only to those with pure intentions. The locals recount this legend with a mix of fear and reverence, their voices hushed near the spots where the knight is rumoured to wander. Do you walk these paths expecting to cross such supernatural thresholds? Or is it more that the power of such stories enriches your travel and lends a sense of wonder to your routine plight? Historians still deliberate on the factual basis for these legends, debating whether they arose from kernels of truth, perhaps an unusual encounter long ago, or a misunderstood natural phenomenon, or if they were crafted purely as moral tales designed to guide behavior and belief. What is undeniable is their impact, the way they transform everyday interactions into potential pages of epic. Overlaying your route are markers of whispered folklore, stones said to be giants in repose, streams imbued with fairy magic, and ancient trees with roots tangled in the otherworldly. With every step, the landscape itself seems to breathe stories, each undulating hill a narrative eagerly awaiting a listener's imagination. The roads you travel are imbued with these tales, and more so when bandits or strangers approach, altering their routes and alliances based on alchemical whispers of fortune or misfortune waiting around the bend. It's amusing, in its own way, to witness how stories transcended walls, hardened by doubt or craftsmanship alone, bridging hearts with chilling but uplifting humanity. Occasionally, such tales mould your reality into something surreal. A traveller's smirk glosses from fortune-spun novelette, when you barter for passage with tales of your own, spun under twinkled stars. Among bespeckled inns, these renderings transform the mundane into dialogues enriched by embroidery and discontent, leavened with humour amongst firesides shared. For yourself, navigating these legendary realms amid respite casts foreknowledge upon unforged territorial bonds. Glimmers of understanding suffused with ancestral wisdom, amongst prophecies with familiar cadence. You clutch the ceremonious crypt of wordsmith like a cherished token when faced with crossroads unknown. Encounters with locals add another layer to the fable where hearts are both strengthened and bewitched by the pause of spoken enchantments. A beggar recounts the murmur of a shadow that whispers warnings upon the winds, while a child gazes with nostrils flaring at tales you concoct to while away damp hours of forthcoming slumber union. These legends, though ethereal, impart guidance, encouraging you to overlook the division between real and imagined, finding solace beneath starfall when longing takes root between primeval expanses. In drawing powerful lines between truth and teachings, you reflect upon how society's reactions unfold through these touchpoints into fate itself. As the world dims into another whisper-soft evening, you swallow the comfort hidden within life's narratives, guiding undulant through realms fleeting and eternal, as moonrise aligns. The legends you encounter transcend fiction, etched upon your journey as luminous beacons leading beyond measured space, shaping your own fable-trimmed path until horizons unfurl into the banquet of another day. Each tale, however tall, threads itself into the larger fabric of your travel, offering wisdom or warning in equal measure. They are stories that find root not just in the landscapes they describe, but in the hearts that carry them forward, linking past, present, and future in a rich continuum of collective imagination. As you ease into slumber beneath the gentle watch of midnight tendrils, each fragment of myth drawn into dream-weaving somnolence, you remain both audience and architect, storytelling your own journey through the melded echoes of lives touched upon silent radiances unspoken. And when dawn curves gently to warm earth's glistening verses, you rise, cradled by the lore of forgotten times, a timeless messenger, entrusted with epic song, drawn across endless continuum. The first blush of morning light stretches across the sky, nudging you from the gentle embrace of slumber. You rise to the sound of birdsong, natural harmonies painted against a canvas of dew-kissed foliage. There is a soothing rhythm to these mornings, each slightly different, yet intimately familiar. Today, as you continue on your well-trodden path, you are reminded of the figures who disrupt this deceptively peaceful world. The charismatic outlaws whose deeds and reputations have woven themselves into your journey like threads in an intricate tapestry. The roads you traverse are rich with tales of these brigands, characters who often occupy the ambiguous space between villainy and heroism. They roam the forested routes and shadowed byways, their stories whispered like the rustling wind through leaves. While the word outlaw conjures images of cutthroats and marauders, the reality often reveals figures more complex, a testament to the societal complexities that breed both rebels and champions. One cannot ignore the allure these fugitives hold over the imagination. Dramatic transformations of identity ripple through legend and lore, mingling with truth until even your steps feel buoyed by the tales of such audacious escapades. Romantically painted or brutally etched, these outlaws have etched an eternal place in the collective psyche. Glimpses of defiance where justice fails those below the strata of sanctioned protection. Take Robin Hood, perhaps the most iconic amongst them. Historians still argue about whether such a figure existed or whether he was merely a composite of various rogue figures elevated by centuries of mythologizing. Yet, no matter his actuality, the heart of his story beats on, inspiring hope and daring within the weary hearts who dreamt of justice in a world that favored the few. In your travels, the presence of such outlaws demands vigilance. While the line between ally and adversary shifts like forest shadows, one remains wary. For all their charisma, the lawlessness these figures embody presents genuine risk, where a precarious dance between cause and chaos might unfurl. Yet your heart remains curious. As you pause at rustic taverns or in sun-dappled glens, you meet people who speak of their encounters with such legendary figures. They recount the candor and conviction of these men and women, who live defiantly against enforced constraints, offering sometimes both fear and hope in equal measure. In their defiance lies a romantic notion. The regal garb of thematic heroes poised to lightsaber enshrined in woodlands rather than courts. Your journey might even bring you face to face with one of these elusive figures, their steady gaze meeting yours across a flickering campfire. What conversation would unfold? Would their tales confirm the legends or upend your expectations entirely? It's these encounters that spice the road with tantalizing possibility, where the narrative of history breathes alongside the immediacy of shared moments. At inns, the tales grow grander, aged proprietors recounting tales complete with hearty laughter and exaggerated gestures over mugs of ale. And amidst these living tapestries, you sense a kinship with the ghosts of those who dared to leave indelible marks beyond mere mortal constraints. Even as these encounters flourish into moments of companionship, their echoes carry veiled warnings. Will you become the bastion of your own legend upon sylvan soil? Or will the lines blur until friend or foe reflect in phantom, governed by winds eternal? As the day wanes, painting the world in burnt and umber hues, you set down roots in another night's resting place, carrying with you the vibrant stories of outlaws, those spirited phantoms intertwined with the fabric of the land. They weave dreams that provoke and inspire, drifting into the quiet edge of slumber, a realm where souls unspoken guide your paths, pursued in realms vast beyond walls unseen. In the soft embrace of twilight's farewell, as stars twinkle like uncharted destinations in the yawning canvas overhead, you find yourself descending slowly into a rhythm as gentle as a lullaby. The soft cadence of heartbeats echoes gently with those sung by travellers past, alive yet unchained, while your dreams spiral forth into starlit testament. And here, in these serene moments wrapped in darkness, you allow thoughts to unfurl, languid and free. The day's weight dissolves, leaving whispers of wind threading ancient incantations through the stillness. Each exhale unravels tensions, tight wings stretching to heaven's light. Shoulders ease, embracing the stretch of time's unfathomable arc, where all scenes serene meld into infinity. You cradle slumber's gentle promise, fluttering 'neath closed eyes, woven amongst the dreams deferred, from patterns and particles born endlessly, filling voids soft with a depth that cradles till horizons unroll their bleeding gold. Upon the morrow's tender rise, breath softens, slipping into gentle sighs, a moment's reflection casting slow descent, drawn upon the tapestry you tread, waking hours piecing vibrant purpose into the medley of life's eternal dance, as each brace fills upon yonder moons that once and ever await amidst alighted realms anew. Greater than, greater than, greater than. End of script. Sweet dreams, as dawn light gingerly tints the horizon, welcomed by the familiar rhythm of your heartbeat and the carefully measured stride of your steps, the path ahead weaves yet more tales into your journey. Today, the monotony of the road is broken by an age-old tradition that offers both solace and distraction. Songs and stories, the timeless companions of those on long journeys. The road can be a lonely place, a seemingly endless stretch of earth stretched taut across the bones of the land. Each bend offers the illusion of change, yet circles back into the palpable rhythm of travel. It's here that song finds its true purpose, threading through the air like a bird in flight, each note a defiance against isolation. Midway through your day, you find yourself walking alongside fellow travelers, a group so diverse in origin that only the reassurance of shared destination lends them cohesion. Conversations sprout easily among companions of the road, but as words fade, melodies take root. Soon one of your companions begins to hum an age-old tune, soft but certain, and gradually others join in, adding threads of harmony and echo that transform the melody into something profound, stretching across the open landscape. These are not just any songs, they are ballads of courage and longing, laments of love lost and regained, tales spun through generations that transcend the boundaries of time and place. The stories they tell connect you to those who have travelled before. The cadence a bridge to hearts long extinguished but still beating through the power of shared music. Music becomes a lifeline, an auditory map recounting tales of knights and fair maidens, of mythical creatures and otherworldly adventures. It is both a reprieve from and a celebration of the path upon which your feet tread, your soul alighting with each verse as the miles stealthily slip by. The lyrics themselves bear the weight of history. Each tale hidden within the notes offers a glimpse into the tapestry of life, chronicling both the triumphs and tribulations faced by your forebears. These stories contain whispers of ancient wisdom and lessons that resonate with strange familiarity, despite the passage of years separating you from their source. Historians often debate the origins of such folk songs, wondering whether they originated as poetic chronicles or as spontaneous bursts of human creativity, echoed through shared experiences. Yet the significance of song as a universal language is undeniable. Each traveller, no matter their origin, finds themselves drawn into the web of music, joining a chorus where every voice counts, harmonizing into something grander than the sum of its parts. By late afternoon, the stories take the place of melody. Your stride synchronizes with the tales spun around campfires and trodden trails long since traversed. Travellers regale one another with narratives, some drawn from life, others built upon the foundations of fantasy. Here, dragons soar, kingdoms rise and fall, and humble beginnings become heroic journeys. As stories unfold, the mundane world fades, replaced with landscapes sculpted by imagination. You wonder which tales will become legends in the coming years. Which of these storytellers will carve their names into the pantheon of history, unbeknownst to the hearers who recall them as airy embellishment over smiling logs? During the small hours when weariness weighs upon your shoulders and the fancy of a storyteller has run dry, silence resumes its earlier throne, yet without its former tyranny. In its embrace lies a sense of camaraderie, a brotherhood forged through shared words binding everyone tighter than before. It is within this quiet, heavy with the echoes of laughter and the swirl of stories, that contentment finds its place. As the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in a symphony of vibrant hues, you finally rest. The melodies and narratives of the day charted in your mind's expanse. They continue to accompany you on the journey into slumber, weaving between consciousness and dream in a serene lullaby, harmonizing with the gentle rustle of nocturnal breezes. You lie beneath a tapestry of stars, your spirit buoyed by the stories and songs that have accompanied you. These wheels of sound and word transform the road from a solitary trail into a shared adventure, inviting you to find beauty in each leaf, each step, and each note drifting in the echoing void. For, in the echoes of lore and lyric, you drift into a sleep cradled by Kanaguas, rosins of vibrance scribed in harmonious intent, as dreams braid, once reimagined into fantasy's embrace. Tomorrow awaits, and with it fresh tales to carry along the path. Not simply to light your way, but to pave the entirety of your journey through an open adventure, unbounded, never-ending, in torrential lift. With hearts open to tomorrow's unfolding dance upon the enchanted stage of memory and hope, your whispered breaths carry the reincarnate songs into night, where slumbers lay soft, meekly wound in slumber's embrace. As another day dawns along the meandering path, the soft morning light gently nudges you to consciousness, a reminder of the road's perpetual rhythm. Today, the journey unfolds alongside the possibility of creating unexpected bonds. Those unlikely friendships born of shared experiences on the trail. With every mile, you find yourself stitched a little more tightly into the tapestry of the wayfarer's community, where camaraderie emerges from coincident encounters, bridging the gap between solitary travels and shared purpose. In this medieval world, strangers rarely remain strangers for long. A kind word here, a nod of understanding there, These are the moments that build bridges across the many divides of language, class, or culture. As you set out with the rising sun, your footfalls echo alongside those of fellow travelers who, like you, are drawn inexorably toward distant destinations. It's not long before you cross paths with a weary tradesman, his cart laden with the goods of his craft. His eyes meet yours, and after the cursory introductions, a partnership of sorts blossoms. He shares anecdotes of towns visited, interruptions by inclement weather, or optimistic purchases that transform fortunes. Each story punctuated with the cheer that only those who tread this earth as closely as skin allows can offer. An unspoken understanding forms, rooted in the mutual recognition of shared journeys, each stride a testament to endurance and fortitude. As the day unfolds, you trade stories of previous travels, your laughter carrying across the open fields. There's solace in shared narratives, in knowing that someone else understands the unspoken trials and triumphs that lace your path. Traveling together invites whimsical challenges, turning simple tasks into opportunities for collaboration. Perhaps a river crossing presents itself, the waters swift and unyielding. Here you pool your resources, devising ingenious methods to ford the rushing current safely, a joint endeavour that breathes life into the truism about necessity and invention. These moments of teamwork serve not only as pragmatic solutions, but as a testament to the bonds that grow through shared adversity. Where once you were simply companions, now you are allies, united by the road's capricious nature. Historians still reflect upon whether these fleeting encounters left lasting legacies, influencing broader travel or trade networks, or whether they simply represent the universal human need for connection in the face of adversity. Evening finds you settled around a campfire's comforting glow, the flickering flames weaving stories further along the tapestry of newfound friendship. The glow casts warm light upon faces garlanded with lines of laughter and resilience. These gatherings are marked by shared meals, simple fare transformed into feasts by the presence of company. As bread is broken and tales are spun, the kinship grows richer, forming a quilt of memory stitched with each collective experience. The camaraderie transcends immediate necessity or gain. There's a genuine delight in the shared laughter that warms the soul against the encroaching chill, in the exchanged tales that reveal the minutiae of lives led along different paths, yet animated by similar aspirations. Even when the road parts and each traveller moves toward their separate horizon, the bonds remain. Ephemeral, perhaps, but indelibly inscribed upon the heart. It's rare in this world of fleeting encounters to find friendships that linger beyond the horizon's fold. Yet it is these moments that anchor you against the wilder tides of transience and change. The enchantment of it lies not in permanence, but in its ability to transform an ordinary journey into a shared odyssey. As the stars prick the velvet sky, inviting the world into the mysteries of night, you find yourself drifting into sleep, comforted by this shared human tapestry. Unlikely friendships forge, not merely through flagons of ale and embers of fable, but through an intrinsic hailing of kinship and collective heart. While tomorrow you may walk separate roads, this evening you lay amidst familiarity, grounded by bonds as grounding as earth, bordered with solace cast through the embrace of generous embrace. The shared journey, not merely a crossing through worlds, but a perennial dance, stepping not alone but within, enlivened, encircling hearts thrumming note to note. Entwined together and softly shuttered against midnight's lullaby, it is this rhythmic heart that elevates the simplest paths into legend's chariot. Tales a myriad bastions anew, with moons rising upon the infinite stage, awaiting its chorus rise for mortals soon, and on to eternity's boisterous halls. The dawn unfurls like a delicate ribbon in the sky, and with it the familiar pull of the road awaits you. A vast expanse laden with both promise and purpose. Today, as your journey resumes, you are mindful of stepping into the pages of history itself. You are an unwitting witness to historic turning points, moments where the personal and the political intersect, leaving a lasting imprint upon the fabric of time. The path takes you through villages freshly abuzz with rumour, whispers of monumental events trickling down as though carried on the very wind. There's a current of anticipation within these bustling enclaves, the faces of townsfolk alive with excitement, and, occasionally, worry. It's the kind of charged atmosphere where change feels both imminent and tangible, hanging in the air like the impending break of a storm. With each missive you deliver, you sense something greater than the physical parchment it is penned upon. Whether it holds a decree from a distant monarch, or news of a treaty with familiar foes, the impact of its contents will ripple outward, affecting countless lives. Here, amongst the corridors of power and the bustling markets, you become a silent cog in history's grand machinery, a humble witness to events that will shape kingdoms and fates. Consider the evolving tales swirling around a pivotal conflict or a coronation that shifts allegiances. Historians frequently delve into whether messengers like you fully grasped the impact of such errands. Did the weight of empire hang heavy on their shoulders, or were they merely vessels whose contents mirrored reflection of society? Your own musings offer a tapestry blending fact, perception, and myth, inherent within historical unravelling. You find yourself moving through a world alive with the gravity of these moments. In courts, laughter mingles with the clipped tones of strategy, while peasant fields sway under the whisper of destiny cloaked in common toil. The people you encounter are no longer merely individuals. They morph into symbols of resistance, hope, and longing, a living embodiment of the broader tapestry into which you have been unwoven. Amidst this tableau, the significance of your role crystallizes. Each message finds its place within a mosaic where fates pivot toward new beginnings, capable of changing the course of alliances or bringing peace or discord. This realization fuels every step, imbuing the road with the electric hum of unfolding history. As midday stretches and contracts into afternoon's tentative expanse, you encounter others, fellow messengers or commoners caught within similar tides of change. Their stories peel back layers of life, inviting you to glimpse the human heart echoing behind proclamations embraced or shunned. These shared moments are steeped in sincerity, an acknowledgement of the universal journey shared by every soul tethered to the delicate thread of time. In these pivotal moments, courage and conviction shine. You recall conversations imbued with fervor, dreams transmuted into discussions carried out on dirt paths leading to horizons luminous with potential. There's an undeniable magic in living through history, in casting your unassuming shadow across pivotal crossroads even when unaware. As the day meanders toward its conclusion, you find solace in the tranquility of reflection. The sun dips low in the sky, painting the world in warm golds and soft oranges, a celestial reminder of cycles and continuity, endings that fold into beginnings. It is in this twilight, suspended between light and dark, that you allow thoughts to roam like wildflowers, swaying to evening's ethereal lullaby. Emerging from the symphony of footsteps lies the awareness of your place as witness, observing the intricate dance of destiny and free will, spectating even as you contribute a line to history's unfolding narrative. As moonlight takes gentle hold, the night weaves dreams upon threads of experience gleaned from today's path. The historic echoes you encounter spill into the embroidery of slumber, a weave of past, present, and future that ensconces you in historical embrace. Each breath drifts upon the soothing tides of time, gently untethering you from the weight of history's burden. Rest becomes a balm, mending the soul with peace, as the song of the road hums in the distance, a whispered promise of continuity beyond ephemeral moments. This wondrous fusion of history's dance and personal journey nourishes your dreams, allowing each kernel of memory to blossom into tomorrow's dawn with renewed purpose. Here, within the cusp of stardust and shadow, you find solace nestled in the deep embrace of night, ready to face whatever historic turning points await just beyond the horizon. The echoes of time continue to unfurl in a starlit canvas of infinite possibility, colouring each new day with the vibrancy of a story that knows neither beginning nor end, only the enduring, intertwining dance of life itself. The light of a new day seeps into the sky, its gentle hues melding with the promise of another journey. With your pack secured and the familiar weight of responsibility upon your shoulders, you set forth once more, stepping into a world vibrant with possibilities. As a medieval messenger, the road is as much a part of your life as the air you breathe, but there is a bittersweet nature to it, an endless cycle of arrivals and farewells, the continuous act of leaving behind places and people you've briefly called acquaintances or friends. This rhythm of endless farewells echoes along the contours of your route, shaping your journey in ways both subtle and profound. Every village, town, or manor you encounter holds the potential for connection, a fleeting tether of humanity, woven between fleeting meetings and unexpected moments of kinship. It is here, in the shared glances and brief conversations, that life breathes vibrant with the intricate nuances of relationship. Yet just as swiftly as these bonds form, They unravel as the road calls you onward. Each farewell is both a conclusion and a beginning, the point where present joys part from past companionships. There's a particular intimacy in these goodbyes, each imbued with gratitude for shared moments, a camaraderie constructed in the fleeting stretch of time between the giving and receiving of letters. For those who dwell in permanence, farewells might hold a solemnity, a reluctance to part from the familiar. But for you, wanderer and builder of transient ties, they possess a melody that resonates with anticipation, each note capturing the exquisite indecision of coming and going. You find yourself standing at the edge of a village, exchanging final words with a blacksmith who crafted an axe as solid as the anvil it emerged from, or a weaver whose colourful tales wove as intricately as threads. The exchange is subtle, a touch to the shoulder, a laugh shared over a jest, an acknowledgement of roads crossed. These moments evoke a gentle warmth, a reminder of the broader narrative, spun from countless individual threads. They render the transient into tangible connections, lying bare the strange weight carried between you and others, caught within life's ceaseless whirlwind. With the path unfurling behind you, you learn to cherish these ephemeral ties, appreciating their beauty as they transform through life's fluid course. This departure, again and again, fuels your understanding of life's greater tapestry, reminding you how distance does not diminish the validity of emotions born amidst the briefly shared odyssey. The repetition shapes your journey, crafting a delicate dance of anticipation and transient fulfillment. Perhaps you humorously imagine yourself as the hub in some celestial wheel, extending spokes into myriad lives, a nod to the perpetuity of human connection nestled within impermanence. As you tread onward, each step carries the echoes of farewells past and whispers of forthcoming reunions. It allows your isolation on the lonely road to braid harmoniously with its community, crafting a collective journey etched in viscosity rather than dwelling on the permanence of place. By setting sun, you encounter another village, an embrace of structures familiar yet wholly new. Faces appear, greeting you as a stranger, soon to become a guest, with conversations blossoming where least expected. Once more, farewells shall await their time at the horizon's embrace, whispering into the cycle joining dawn and twilight, a circle unbroken by the iterative rhythm of journey, interrupted only by the horizon's mutable hue. As night blankets the world, you lay beneath a sky of twinkling stars, those steadfast travellers marking their own endless journeys across the heavens. The serene rustle of the night is punctuated by memories of partings, and the knowledge that each farewell carves room for new encounters, crafting an enduring mosaic not merely etched by permanence, but spirited by journey itself. With dreams folding gently around you, your thoughts drift upon currents of time, the endless loop re-imaging life's path beneath wanderers' souls. And so, in this cyclical cadence of whispers that incite closeness amongst distances unseen, you sleep, cradled by the vast tapestry, woven along luminous horizons yet untravelled, upon the road calling anew at dawn's patient edge. As the first light of dawn creeps through the trees, stirring life into the stillness of the morning, you prepare for your final journey on this path. There's an unfamiliar sense of closure in the air, an awareness that soon your role as a medieval messenger will come to its inevitable pause. Today, as you gather your belongings and tighten your cloak against the crisp morning chill, you reflect on the myriad experiences and countless faces that have threaded through the fabric of your journey. You've traversed landscapes both serene and treacherous, each step echoing with stories etched into the dirt and woven into the wind. From bustling markets to isolated hamlets, from grand courts to humble cottages, your footsteps, along with the messages you carried, have been part of the living pulse of history. Now, as you near the end of this chapter, every sense is heightened with the resonance of the road's lessons, painted in the patina of knowledge and understanding that only such an odyssey can yield. There is a gentle irony to your task, to be the bearer of messages, a facilitator of connection, and yet to always remain slightly apart, detached from the moments you deliver and leave behind. Each experience, both the grand and the seemingly inconsequential, a brushstroke in the vast canvas of your life's work. With each arduous mile, you've learned not just the language of the lands you passed, but the rhythm of human experience, its passions and fears mirrored in the soulful cadence of the road. As you make your way towards your final destination, you pass through familiar vistas, now bathed in the golden light of memory. You think of the people, the blacksmith with hands hardened by work yet softened by kindness, the innkeeper with tales enough to fill 100 nights, the children who've laughed and run alongside your horse, embodying the simple joys that make the journey worthwhile. With the sun climbing higher, the path beneath your feet seems to whisper farewells. Each step a goodbye to the land that has been your constant companion. These well-trodden roads have become like old friends, their contours as familiar to you as the lines of your own hand, each twist and turn holding the resonance of past journeys, of stories both delivered and collected. As you approach the city gates, you find yourself caught in a gentle reverie, a reflection of all the farewells and promises that have marked your passage. The world beyond beckons, expanse unfurling towards horizons unshackled by the confines continually travelled. There exists a new sense of possibility, the idea of home, not just in places visited, but in the journey itself, an ethos deeply intertwined with each experience gained. With a final nod to the road that has carried and cradled your steps, you enter the city, where the energy buzzes with life. Walls hum with familiar voices, market stalls thrive in their daily hustle, and people move with the pulse of industry and intent. For you, it's a reminder that the world continues its dance of movement and change, unceased by your own pause. As the evening sky drapes its gentle, starry cloak over the day, you gather with familiar faces, recounting tales of your journey, finding laughter and solace among those who've shared in the art of the road. Each lingering note of conversation echoes the music of connection, a fitting farewell to a journey where paths, like lives, are woven together through shared moments and untold tales. Returning to the quiet, familiar space where the journey began, with the soft hum of a world settling to rest. Wrap yourself in the warmth of memories cherished. The dreams that come are woven with images unconfined by walls, of horizons seen and yet to be explored, of laughter and lessons scoring their subtle imprint on the tapestry of your heart. Perhaps the road will call again, but for now, the peace of home is your solace and sanctuary. As the night deepens and the moon cradles the world in its embrace, you find quiet contentment in the knowledge that each step, every burden carried, every story shared, adds just a little more colour to the vibrant mural that is life. As the gentle rhythm of sleep gathers you close, whispers of the road lull you into dreams, a reminder of journeys past and those that lay yet untravelled, beyond the dawn's patient promise, entwined eternally within life's ever-beckoning embrace. Greater than, greater than, greater than, greater than. End of script, sweet dreams.